Hello, everyone. Welcome to The Love of Learning. I'm your host, Dr. Carl S. Moore, Vice President for Teaching and Learning at Howard Community College. And I'm joined here, I have the pleasure, this is our first time meeting, I'm thinking, right?
This is our first time.
I'm joined by Evelyn Del Rosario.
Yes.
And you're going to tell us about yourself, but I know you're one of our criminal justice faculty members, but tell us a little bit
Yes.
about yourself, how long you've been here, and we'll kind of go through some other questions to learn a little bit more about you and your program.
Oh, absolutely. And I want to say again, thank you so much for having me. I've been looking forward to this since I volunteered myself, so thank you so much. So yes, I am the oldest serving faculty of criminal justice at the college. I've been here since 2009, I believe, 2008, 2009. It's been a while. And I'm the coordinator of the criminal justice program here. Before that, so I went to law school, right? I had my doctorate degree, and I thought, oh, I'm going to be like this criminal attorney, and it's going to be awesome, and I'm going to be in court. And then I learned the reality, right? That it's a lot of paperwork.
Okay.
But I learned about the criminal justice system, right? And I which I find to be fascinating. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. But I tell my students every day, my students will be, if I have a lot of, repeat students, and they hear the same spiel over and over again. I love teaching, and I love teaching about the law, right? This is where my passion is. Honestly, this is my passion. I found my calling. And so, yeah, I love teaching about the law. So one thing I tell my students is, you will learn all the injustices, right? All the because if I don't do that, I'm doing a disservice to them, right? But I also want them to get an appreciation of our legal system, because I tell them that despite all its many disparities and injustices and all the things it gets wrong, it strives at perfection. And that is what keeps me excited, right? That is what I want them to get about our legal system. And hopefully just be informed citizens, because not all of them will pursue degrees in criminal
100%,
justice.
we
don't need more attorneys in the world, right? I'm joking.
We do.
But it is my job, I hope, I feel, to get them to be informed citizens, right? Informed citizens. And no matter what they do, they understand that there's a reason why we're here, right? I'm not a historian, but I refer a lot to history. There's a reason why we are in the state we are right now. And if you understand that, right, that's how change can happen. So yes. So I started I thought my life was going to take one
trajectory.
But I love where I am now. And I love teaching. I do.
And what's really insightful about that is there may even be someone out there that's teaching law or in law school or pursuing that and not realizing that they could make a pivot. And it's something that I don't always think about either myself. Like, law school, criminal justice, it makes sense, especially depending upon the type of law. So that transition for you from law school, did you study criminal law, or was there a particular?
So I did criminal law.
Okay.
And I did immigration law.
Okay.
And for a little while, I worked in a law firm that we did immigration. But yes, I never thought I was going to end up here.
Wow.
I never thought I was going to end up here. The reason I did both. So I am a first-generation American. Both my parents are obviously immigrants from the islands, the Dominican Republic, and I felt that this is how I gave back, right? So I wanted to work, with this immigrant community, and I wanted to, and I saw things, I saw injustice, and I wanted to work in that. But I find that teaching kind of helps me still give back, right? I still, I'm true to my initial calling.
If it feels that need, that it gives you that fulfillment.
Yes.
It's not being that you would get being in a community. Now, does this lend itself to that as well in terms of criminal justice, some of the work or is it just the classroom in terms of some of the coursework or programmatic features in terms of doing anything in the community, or is it more just the study of criminal law, working with?
It's both,
Okay,
right?
okay.
So the teaching I love, as I said, but we're also doing things to kind of work with the community. So right now, we are going to be starting this new internship program with the Department of Juvenile Justice. I'm working with the Center for Civic and Community
Engagement.
Yes. And we have this new partnership with this organization that works with juveniles inside inside juvenile facilities, and it's just kind of mentoring these young people, right? And mentoring in a way that it seems so simple. The founder of the brainchild of the organization, he goes in and he plays chess with kids a few hours each week, right? We have volunteers, or the organization has volunteers that does crocheting with the kids, right? And what we're going to start doing here at HCC is students who are interested, right? And have that mindset of giving back and making a difference, they're going to go into these facilities.
Oh, wow.
And they're going to just bring in their talents and make that connection, right? And I'm like, oh my God,
That's really
what a
great.
wonderful
Yeah,
opportunity
yeah,
that is.
yeah.
So we're very excited.
And that's really exciting. So there's so many layers here. So you're collaborating with the Office of Civic Engagement, which that office typically provides students with opportunity to do some type of community-based activity, but the intersection with criminal justice is working in a juvenile in a detention center,
detention facilities throughout Maryland. So it's
Maryland.
Yeah. So Baltimore City, Baltimore County, and I think Montgomery County.
So is that something that a non-student could do as well, or is it if you are majoring or if you have that degree path, then you have access to that activity? Is it only for students in the program?
So right now, this is our first semester in which the students are going to be going out. So this is a partnership that's brand new.
It's exciting.
New. And I should also say we have career services is also involved. So it's all these organizations and we're working together, which is wonderful. This collaboration is wonderful. So right now, just as a kickoff, we're doing criminal justice students. And then we're going to have the students do a showcase here on campus and invite the entire community to extend it to other students in different pathways. Because I know the interest is there, right? Our students are amazing.
That's
the
really
things
exciting.
that they do are amazing. So I'm kind of initially focusing on our criminal justice.
That makes sense.
But the long-term goal is let's bring everyone on board.
Yeah,
So.
and that's one of the goals here. But we definitely have to start off with students in those programs, but then to provide lots of disciplinary opportunity for students to, kind of supplement whatever their path they were already on with a little bit of flavor or spice from another area. So that's very exciting. So I feel like I've learned lots, and even we've been chatting for about 10 minutes now. So this is really great. So law professor, well, not professor, a lawyer. Shifting over to criminal justice here at HCC. Now you said you weren't planning on being here, but in being here, your criminal law background really informs you being a coordinator for the criminal justice program. You've most recently started this program with the juvenile centers in Maryland to have students go in. What other elements of the program you kind of can walk me through? Like if I'm a new student and I'm a student, a prospective student thinking about HCC, thinking about a career in XYZ, whatever, right? There can be so many different careers. But if I'm thinking about criminal justice, why should I be thinking about it? And what should I know about the program if I am already thinking about it? Because, the why is interesting because some people don't know. They don't know what they don't know. But then if they are interested, what are, you can kind of take those one at a time. I won't forget. I won't forget the second question.
Just to remind me.
Yeah. So the first is the why.
Why.
Why would it be something that students would be interested in?
I think it goes back to what I said. I understand that not every student who takes one of our courses is going to go into a career in criminal justice, right? but it enables them to be informed citizens, right? So
informed citizens,
informed
you stated that.
citizens. So
Okay.
the decisions they make is with an understanding that it affects people, right? And sometimes it affects people right in their community, people that they would not, otherwise think about. So that's why I think it's so valuable, regardless of what your ultimate career goal is.
Yeah.
That's one. Two, there's so many career options in criminal justice, right?
Okay.
We have excellent faculty, right? Our adjunct faculty, our full-time faculty, amazing, right? And there's so many, what's the word I'm looking for? There's such a wealth of knowledge that we as instructors bring that is so valuable to students, right, who are looking into career in criminal justice. So you have myself and my background. We have faculty and adjuncts who come in with careers in corrections. We have faculty and yes, they come with careers in law enforcement. And I know that when I hire adjuncts, I want to diversify, right? So I make it a point to hire people that have different careers within this criminal justice entity. So they can go into law enforcement, they can go into, the courts, they can go into corrections. There's so many avenues. So that's another why.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, so many different paths.
So many different pathways. And if they, I find that having gone to law school thinking, I'm going to, be a criminal attorney and it's going to be so wonderful. But I find it's useful just kind of in reading contracts. It's useful in other aspects of my life if they want to go into that path. So, so yes, that's
being informed citizens, right? That's what makes it useful. And I'm learning. You're teaching me right now.
Wonderful. But yes, that is basically the why. That is the why. And I feel like regardless, we should know about our structure of government. We should know about the decisions that are made by the courts, right? We should understand the reason, the history behind those decisions. We should understand who will be impacted by those decisions.
Yeah.
Not everything that our government tells us, is true on its face. Am I allowed to say that? Am I allowed to say
Well,
that?
I didn't. This is an academics enterprise, right? You have that room to say with an educational setting.
But absolutely. But yes, and understanding, just being understanding, again, being informed citizens. Informed citizens.
You know what I appreciate about that last moment? I think what I hear you saying, in addition to what's obvious, is that you're teaching them how to think, or not what to think, but how. You're exposing them how to, and you say informed citizens. Sometimes, from what you describe, being an informed citizen and being able to think clearly, right, about things. So that's pretty cool, because I hadn't thought about criminal justice in that way. And the other thing that stands out to me is that,
and if I may, and I'm sorry, going back to what you said, teach them hopefully how to think. One thing that I encourage in my classroom is that dialogue, right? And I always say this is a safe space, and encourage students to voice their opinions, right? And discuss and have these group discussions. I think it's so valuable, right? It's just because I always say I learned from them as much or more than they learn from me. And I find that they learn from each other, sometimes even more than they may learn from me.
Very powerful.
Right? So
and those are great muscles to have, right? As you go through life, as you know,
yes,
that ability to dialogue, because, there's a difference between debate and dialogue. Sometimes you have to turn on whatever one, depending upon the situation. But I imagine in your classes it's a healthy blend, or maybe sometimes uneven in one way or the other in terms of that debating about things, or even just dialogue, creating that kind of common understanding, or just like, no, I agree with this, I don't agree with that. How much is that a part of the class? Is it like a cornerstone of what you all do, that's debate?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Okay. And yes, but how can it not be, right? With the issues, that, our students are facing on a day-to-day. They are informed. They have social media accounts.
Yeah, they have opinions and
they have opinions, and
right.
It's constantly in their faces, right? So how can they not have an opinion about it? And sometimes, you will have, students that have very controversial opinions, and they may not feel comfortable voicing it. And I find it's my responsibility to have a safe space
That's awesome.
so they can do that.
Whatever end of the spectrum it is, right?
Absolutely,
that's the goal. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
that's the value of higher education, right? That's why they come, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what they take. And that's how they become independent thinkers and critical thinkers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just considering things from different point of views.
Yeah,
That
I love
makes sense.
that. That was one of the things that, and this is going to seem tangential, but it's connected. So there's a lot of, we're in the digital age, right? The pandemic, et cetera. And to make a long story short, robots will be doing a lot more for us in the coming years. But one of those pieces from what you just mentioned that, all of what you just mentioned is like our value added, that critical thinking, that being able to dialogue, which we prepare students even better or more so to be successful in the real world or whatever once they build those muscles, right? Because if you have something that's more computational, black and white, a lot of what you're describing in terms of criminal justice is like a lot of the gray and how to negotiate the gray and understand the system and the gray. And computers won't be able to do that, right? So it's like how to make yourself. Am I of the correct understanding with that?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
We have, this artificial intelligence and all the debate that is going around there. And is that really learning, right? Is that something that they take with them, right? Is that something tangible that they can do something with it? It's not. That's the value that we bring in. That's a value that, our institution gives to the students.
It's beautiful, yeah.
It's a whole package. It's the experience. And that experience is not only interacting with us, but interacting with one another, right? And, having the ability to reach out to other organizations and work with other organizations, and bring that knowledge back to the college. That's the point. That's what we bring that they cannot get from technology. Not there's anything wrong with technology.
Yeah, we love technology.
We love technology, but it's not the same. It's not the same.
And I'm also delighted about the one point, and I'll ask you another question, because this is a lot of what is to be discussed. Is like a flow of conversation during this, and you've covered so many different areas. The one piece I want to single back on and highlight that's super important, especially with criminal justice, is what I heard you saying is that you want the students to develop a healthy relationship with the system because, and I mean, this is just from my lived experiences, sometimes it slants more towards adversarial, right? And they don't understand that the system, you said it earlier, I can't paraphrase it correctly, you said the system is designed to work, right? And you want to teach them about what it is. And I think that that's really awesome because there are a lot of unfounded judgments about the law, our law system, without folks really understanding it. So you seem like you have a really great approach in terms of, understanding the system, but also in all the gray that it could actually serve as a disservice to someone or whatever in certain instances, but that I forgot the word you used, it's aiming towards being...
It strives to be just.
There we go. That's a very powerful thing. For me to walk around as an American citizen, or just even not a person living here, that the system is striving to be. That baseline, that's talk about like life skills, or what you mentioned earlier. I think that's a really awesome frame to have, because it's different than thinking that it's striving to not be or it's against me. But this is you. I'm just reflecting back what you're stating, and I just think that that's a major thing, especially for certain populations, but just for everyone in general, but specifically populations where the narrative may be that it's striving not to be, right? And then what kind of existence does that create, and kind of path does that promote? So I think that's really powerful.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It gives me hope.
Yeah, it's the hope part, right? It's the light that's there.
But it gives me hope.
Yeah.
So many times our students come in with their opinions and their individual experiences, which cloud their perception of things, and sometimes they're they're very complimentary of our criminal justice system, and they say, well, you know, it has its flaws, but it's the best in the world.
Okay, good. Okay.
But why?
Oh, yeah.
Let's examine why. You know,
because
and
that could even still be surface level, right?
Right.
So, okay.
Right.
Yeah,
And I think it is, you know, going back to what we bring, right, as educators, as an institution, what do we bring? Sometimes it is our job to. I always say, I'm gonna be devil's advocate, right? And I asked, well, why is it the best one? Because we just kind of, you know, give lip service. What does that mean? And then sometimes they come in and they're like, well, I hate the police. Well, why? Why? Let's consider that. From a personal point of view, I worked at the police academy here in Howard County for many years. We had a partnership with the Howard County Police Academy, and I went there and I taught criminal law and I taught evidence and procedure, and I, you know, met and interacted with these very young officers, right? And I tell my students, many not much older than you, right? And they were there trying to do their best.
Wow.
And when you ask them, you know, why do you want to be a cop? Most of them, in my experience, would say, I want to serve. I want to give back.
To
I want,
serve.
you know.
Yeah.
But, you know, they're getting this information, or they've had bad experiences, and they come in saying, I hate the police. Well, let's examine that.
Yeah.
Let's go further,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So, again, and having that dialogue, you know, a person who's come, you know, from a different social economic background, a different racial background, because of all that, they may have a different experiences with the police. That's fair. There, you know, there's a reason for that. There's a history behind that. Let's examine that.
Right.
Let's consider that, and let's be civil about it.
Right? And this all goes back to the what is it? Being an informed citizen, right? All of these are, like, I would say, is core competencies to being an informed citizen would be asking yourself those questions, questioning you, going deeper. So you're like encouraging them to do that in the learning process. That's pretty great.
I hope so.
What would you say in your classes, right? In your criminal justice classes, courses that you teach, students love learning about? What is it that they love? It could be a particular subject, topic, range of things. What is it that you kind of see that they really are?
That they really love. Oh,
Yeah.
goodness.
No, you can't speak for all of them, but, you know.
Yes, because it really depends on the
It depends
course.
on the person, you know.
Yes, I want to say they love all my jokes and they love me.
The content.
But, yes, sometimes they don't laugh at my jokes.
Oh, they don't?
Well, I tell them this will be a very long semester if you don't find my jokes funny. So they give me a little chuckle, a little.
So you're going to just keep telling
until
Sometimes an unfunny joke is funnier than a funny joke because it's just the awkward part of it.
I know, right?
That's kind of my brand of comedy. I'm like, all right, I'm going to lean into the awkward part. So
I do too. I understand that. But I think when my students respond well, and I hope I don't sound cheesy by saying this, it's the energy that I bring in. Because I do love what I do. And I love the content. And sometimes, you know, when I'm reading through my ideas, survey responses, and that's what they say. They love the energy that I bring in as instructors. You know,
that's the engagement piece because they probably feel engaged.
That's the
Okay.
key. And what I strive to do, all honesty, I want each of my students to feel that they're seen, that they're seen and they're heard. That's our responsibility, right? They need to come here and feel safe. So yes. So Dr. Daniels at the VP kickoff said something that I found very telling. She said that as instructors, sometimes we have to kind of, I think, I'm not paraphrasing this right, but she said something to the effect is we have to get our egos out of the way. And that's not the word she said, but that's the sense I got. And that is very true. We have to get our egos out of the way to allow the students to shine. May I tell you a story? And I didn't plan to share this.
Okay.
This was a few years ago. I had a student and very hostile. It's funny, she would come in and it didn't seem like she was enjoying the class. She was very adversarial towards me. And I wondered, like, why does she keep coming? And I just like, why is she still here? 'Cause she doesn't look like she's enjoying it at all. And well, it progressed, and sometimes she would engage, but very, very seldomly. And one day she put her hand up, and I saw her, and I don't know if you've had this experience where you're discussing, lecturing, and you see a student raise your hand, but I'm not finished with what I want to say, so I saw her, but I didn't acknowledge her. She didn't feel acknowledged.
I understand.
And she became very upset. And she's like, And I stopped and I said, what's going on, right? And she was very upset. And I'm ashamed of myself because I got upset. I didn't get my ego out of the way. And I got upset. And I got upset with her in front of the class, which I never do. I praise in public. I reprimand, if you will,
in private,
right?
yeah.
But I got upset, and I thought about that evening, and it bothered me. So the following class, I was afraid she wasn't going to come, but she did. And after class, I pulled her aside. I'm like, may I speak to you? And I said, I'm sorry. I should not have done that. I should not have done that. And I explained why. And she started crying. And she said, I have just been kicked out of my home by my mother, and you kind of remind me of her.
Ooh.
I'm like, well, of course you hate me.
Right.
Of course you hate me.
Yeah.
But just allowing her to be seen, and that's all she wanted. Why she got upset is because when she raised her hand, I did not acknowledge her. And while it wasn't intentional, I learned from that. I learned from that moment. It is my job to allow my students to be heard and to be seen and to be acknowledged. That's my job. It's not only it's the teaching, but we all want to be seen. We 100%. All want to be validated.
And it's so important. I mean, there's so many connected threads here, because it becomes even more so important when we're thinking of like justice, right? Criminal justice, social justice. It's and the question was, what do they like? What do students love learning about? And what you're sharing with us is they of course, obviously they like learning about law, et cetera, but they love the way they're being taught, or they may lean into and be more engaged by being seen, right, brought in, heard. And it's interesting because it's kind of like, I don't know if you're more so motivated as a faculty member for for criminal justice, but it makes sense. It just makes sense that your motivation to teach them in a just way, right? It's like socially just teaching. So that's kind of thread that I kind of see there.
I never thought about it that way.
Yeah, right? And it's like, no, this person has to be, because that's this. And now this is your area, not my area. But when it comes to the system and honoring a person's like experience or whatever, it's like being seen or not being seen. It's like there's so much overlap that I see there as it relates to even the nature of as it relates to criminal justice and like an act of justice in a classroom, like this person not being seen. So there was so much there. I know that's like a whole long conversation or coffee or whatever, but does that thread make sense?
It's funny. I've never thought about it that way. But
and that's what I'm getting from what that's what you just taught me.
See, it's all learning. I from a philosophical point of view, I'm like, we're here to learn or to teach, right? If we're not teaching, we're learning.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's our purpose.
And so the program, I've learned about, I shouldn't have hit the mic there. I've learned about different pathways into the program, potential things. You've shared much with potential directions folks can go outside of the program, particular nuances of the teaching, right? And the teaching with care, that kind of, acknowledgement. There's so much here. And the program, what do you call it? An AA. Students may not always understand, like, what can I do with an AA or an AAS, right? Or what can I do? Can you tell us a little bit about the program and zooming out in terms of if I'm coming here, what am I going to be getting my degree in? And, we both know transfer a certain career, but we have to make that explicit as it relates to criminal justice. I think that's one other piece to cover.
Yes. So with criminal, most of our students, different kind of pathways. So for our Crim 101 course, right, which is our introductory course. It's Introduction to Criminal Justice. Our students, they can take it, right, if they are, well, they have to take it if they're criminal justice majors, right? So this is, it gets them in, and it's a prerequisite before they can move on to 200-level courses.
Okay.
But Crim 101 is also meets the requirements for ethics. So many students take it for that. So, again, not all our students will pursue degrees in criminal justice.
I see. I see. Okay.
But those that do, yes, most transfer to four-year institutions, right? But I have students who work as paralegals.
Okay, so sometimes they'll be done with their
They'll
degree
be done,
here,
their
and they'll go work
associate's
as a
degree,
paralegal.
and they go into the workforce.
Okay.
I've had many students who go into law enforcement. So,
Oh, right.
for example,
With their
Howard
credits.
County Police Department, they require an associate's degree,
Yep.
right? So the associate's degree is what they need, and they can go into law enforcement. And most of the police departments in Maryland only require that associate's degree. So many of our students go there. I also have had students that, once they're in law enforcement, they go into different degrees. Some of them go into working a specialized force. Some of them go into forensics and things of that nature. So they are, the career opportunities are, I'm not going to say infinite, right?
Yeah,
But they're varied.
They're varied. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you've talked a little bit about the courses, the career opportunities. You talked about your teaching. Did I ask you what you loved about it? Not what the students loved. I think I asked you about what the students loved, and you shared the ways in which you engaged them. But as my last question, I want to ask you what you love. I can kind of tell already what you love about it. But what is it that you love about teaching criminal justice at Howard Community College? This is the love of learning, so we have to ask you that in closing. You share a little bit more about you as a faculty member, what you love about the topic.
Oh my God, it's a community, right? It's the culture. I'm going to say, it's a culture. It's a very supportive culture. I have a very supportive dean and our whole division. Kind of, we collaborate a lot. So that's one. Our campus is gorgeous.
Yeah, it is.
We have a beautiful campus.
Very fortunate here in that regard.
Yes, the facilities that we have alone. So in criminal justice, we have a room that is really designed to be a mock trial.
Yes.
Have you seen it? It's wonderful, right?
Know,
Very few two-year
many
institutions
places
have that. So love that. But from a personal my personal experience being in the classroom, I love the interaction with the students. Love that. I love the interaction with the students. Sometimes life happens and I go in and I'm not feeling my best, but put my ego aside, I go in with a smile. And by the time the class is done, I am truly smiling, right?
They've kind of refueled you.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
We have amazing students. We have a very diverse student body, and they bring in. They just bring in such energy, right? That, my goodness, I love it.
That's
I love
really
it.
Awesome.
And I think that's that's going back to what my students get from me as an instructor. I think they get the sense that I truly love what I do.
Yeah.
And that, I think that shows.
Energy is real. It can be
real.
felt.
Absolutely.
That's wonderful. Well, we really appreciate having you here today.
Our time is done?
Yeah, we're about almost there.
Oh, my
and
goodness.
We'll give you a moment. Anything that you didn't share about your program, yourself, you can kind of look at the camera. You can they're
The
editing
camera
it.
is there. I did not realize. Had I known, I would have been doing my
No, you're good. Anything else you'd like to share about the criminal justice program or just yourself as a faculty member here? I think you've highlighted your program and yourself as a faculty member, and I've enjoyed learning about you. But you can have some final words, and then I'll take us out.
Oh, absolutely. Well, come to HCC, our program, our criminal justice program. Of course, I'm a little,
biased here.
But I believe it's one of the best. Obviously, I've said my love of teaching, but that's true of all our faculty within our program, right? You will get a rich experience that you can take into your career, whatever that, whatever that may be. So, yes.
Wonderful. Well, a takeaway, being an informed citizen is that's a duty, right? It's our duty in terms of citizen as we prepare folks to be successful in the immediate and then in their future, whatever pathways they take. And it seems like the criminal justice program here does that with wonderful professors like, I have to say your last name right, Del Rosario. Did I say that correctly? Professor Del Rosario. And this is Carl S. Moore, Vice President for Teaching and Learning here. And thank you for tuning in to The Love of Learning. And we will see you next episode.